Alex Vatanka is the founding director of the Iran program at the Middle East Institute. He joins me now live from Washington. Great to have you here with us on TRT World. We often hear about the US and the Iranian delegations coming together, trying to sort their differences out, but there's always a stumbling block. This time around, what do you think is the stumbling block?
Look, I mean, it's what it has been now for the last 6 weeks, which is whether Iran should enrich uranium on its soil or not. The U.S. position has shifted on that. The U.S. kind of started off back April 12th at the first round of talks. Not very clear if that was acceptable to the United States. Over the course of the last 6 weeks, that U.S. position has hardened to saying Iran cannot enrich uranium in its soil, and the Iranians haven't moved at all. Now, as your correspondent in Tehran just said, let's wait and see. The Omanis are doing a wonderful job in facilitating the diplomatic track here between Washington and Tehran. We have to wait and see if the Omanis have a plan here to come up with a proposal that Washington and Tehran can both sort of find as a, if you will, face-saving option. Because I don't think they're officially going to walk away from the red lines. But the question is, can they make a temporary compromise for the political diplomatic track to at least stay alive and continue? Because we're not even close to a full agreement. The question is, are we going to have direct talks? Because again, let's not forget, these talks that have happened the last 6 weeks have been indirect, with the Omanis mediating. If there is success, then Washington, Tehran should really be moving towards direct negotiations to solve their differences.
See, Alex, here's the thing. When we look at the broader dynamics and the administrations that are currently in power in both Iran and the United States, nothing has changed. For example, similar efforts were underway when Donald Trump was in the first term of his presidency. At the time, the supreme leader of Iran was the same. And now it's Donald Trump's second term, and still the supreme leader of Iran is the same. In terms of how the U.S. is approaching it, has there been a major difference? Because during Donald Trump's first term, the talks were inconclusive.
No, I hear what you're saying, and to some extent, I have sympathy with your argument. But here's the thing: you're right. Ali Khamenei has been the Iranian supreme leader since June of 1989, so that's certainly been a constant factor on the Iranian side. On the American side, I really think there's a big difference between Trump administration 1.0 and this second Trump administration. President Trump had a different team, had individuals like Mike Pompeo and John Bolton, others who are far more hawkish on what to do with the Islamic Republic. This time around, he doesn't have those people. In fact, he's deliberately kept people he likes to call warmongers or new conservatives out of his administration. So who has his ear? People like Vice President J.D. Vance, his own son, and others, people like Tucker Carlson, who are warning him constantly, do not consider the idea of war with Iran. It will be a disaster for the United States. So as of today, those people seem to have the president's ear. So I think we're in a different place. And I think, fundamentally, President Trump's position hasn't changed. He has said his bottom line is no Iranian nuclear bomb. He hasn't been explicit in rejecting the idea of enrichment on Iranian soil in one form or another.
But of course, there's another important factor here. That's the Tel Aviv factor. To what extent do you think Tel Aviv's influence is going to be involved in these negotiations?
Right. Look, the Israelis are obviously in those meetings, even though not physically, they're not there. They're there because Israel and the United States are close allies. And the Israelis have a lot to worry about because, Iran, Israel, tit for tat, hostilities, that's pretty well known to all of us. So Israel has a role to play here. And I think, they are essentially doing what they can, as far as I can tell, for now, push diplomacy forward. So what do? They're essentially playing the bad cop here. We're hearing in media increasing the last few days about how Israel's going to strike Iran if diplomacy fails. I am guessing that's Israel playing the bad cop. I'm guessing Israel says those types of things about striking Iran to get Iran's attention, to get the Iranians to make compromises when negotiating with Steve Witkoff and the American team in these talks. So I fundamentally, my point of view on Israel is I understand where Israel's coming from, and they have concerns when it comes to Iran. But I also think fundamentally Israel's better off staying close to the United States on this issue than going out alone, because alone Israel would be obviously much weaker facing Iran than if it stays close to the United States.
Alex Vatanka, fascinating insights. Thanks very much for talking to me here on TRT World. Appreciate your taking out the time.